So I've jumped full force into God tier. And in posting this vlog, I'm using God tier as an example of how to map out your strategy. You're starting a new wargaming system. You're starting a new gaming system. And we want to get to the win as quickly as possible. And with any system, there is always a learning curve. How can we cut that down? That's the question to ask. And I'm going to share with you my strategy using God tier as an example. And then parallel, over the next week or two, I'm going to post specific vlogs and videos relating to God tier and my journey through that. But this catalyst is a great chance to share with you my map, my plan, and port it over. Think about it. And next time you start a new gaming system, or you're thinking about launching a gaming system or joining part of a gaming group and they're all playing a certain game and you want to jump in, this is kind of the secret sauce. This is kind of the formula. So the first question to ask before we jump in, are you establishing this game yourself or is it part of a group that already exists? Because that changes the timeline a little bit. Because again, the end goal is win, proficiency, get in there and cut down that learning curve. In terms of God tier, there isn't anyone really around here to play it. I'm going to be pulling in some friends. I've got some other friends signing on. So we're kind of in the same group. We all have no idea what we're doing. Now, we are experienced wargamers. We've played other wargaming systems, but we're all on the same page. That's a different level than you join a gaming group, you buy into an existing club, or a buddy of yours says, hey, there's this amazing game, and they pull you in, and the other players have different levels of experience, ranging from like neophyte youngblood to veteran elite. That compresses the timeline a little bit because you're going up against other opponents that have experience, and we want to navigate that. So the strategy's a little bit different, and we'll jump off in a moment. So the first thing is just read the rules. Look through, read the rules, figure out the DNA, figure out the mechanics of the game, and watch. This is what I've been doing. I've been watching some YouTube videos to get an idea of the phases of the game, how it plays. I'm not concerned yet with memorizing every single rule or if a presenter makes a mistake on a video, but understanding the flow of the game, understanding in terms of God tier, okay, we move, then we alternate activate. There's a sliding scale of points at the end of the round. We see who takes the round. Getting an idea of what constitutes the mechanics, how it plays out. So this way we can start to build tactics. So that's the first level. And I find in doing this, in learning the rules, watching videos, but also just setting up the board. In case of God tier, setting it up, putting out one warband each, just pick one random warband. And I'm not worried about powers and synergies and combos, and just be like, okay, how do I move? How do I attack? How do I use powers? If I get hit, my champion gets killed, it moves back, right? Getting this understanding of the mechanics. So we build with that. And once we understand the flow, and you understand the flow, you understand the rules, when you realize that you don't know everything, when you suddenly realize, okay, it's my turn, and what exactly am I supposed to do? And you have to look in the rule book, right? You know enough to know that you don't know all the rules, and it's perfectly okay always to look something up or figure it out from that perspective. So as soon as I realize I don't know the rules, or as I'm playing through, I realize, okay, I have to reference this, that's a good base because you at least understand the flow. Then we move into beginning to understand the tactics of the game. And in the case of God tier, again, this is just a template. You're going to map out your own game. This is the idea of how do the champions activate? How do they use their powers? How do they use their synergies? Based on the missions that I'm playing, how do you win those missions? How do you win through that? And again, utilizing YouTube or forums as a resource to cut down that learning curve. But also, if it's possible, to set up your warbands, to set up your armies, to set up the game and just kind of work through and see what can happen and literally play both sides. Now, you're not playing both sides for the sake of winning the game. You're playing both sides to begin to understand strategies and counters layered over the rules. So we do that for a bit. if I have a friend that I'm playing with, this is a great chance to pull them in and just start playing some games, but not, and this is the hard part, not approaching it from, I got to win. And I am a competitive person. I love the narrative. I want to create an amazing game, but I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to win. But I have to put that on hold. If it helps, consider your first 20 games. They don't even count. They don't even count to your record. They count towards learning. So if you can pull someone in and now just play some games and be like, let's try and do some combos, and have the other player, have your friend talk about what they're doing, talk about what they're thinking so you can see it too. I mean, normally if I'm sitting there and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to move my champion up here, then I'll activate this, use this power, go here. I mean, I'm not like saying that during an actual game. In my mind I am, but I'm not telling you that because you're going to possibly see things that I don't. But in this back and forth, talking it out, verbalizing it helps tremendously. So if you can pull someone in, that's really, really good. That's really, really important. So you play that for a bit. You do that. What we're trying to get to is at a point where I can understand how the combos layer over the rules and then how the missions lay over the combos to begin to have a working tactica. And again, that might be like 10, 15, 20 games in. Depends on the system, depends on the fluidity of the games, if you can pull another friend in. Now we break off. If you're part of a gaming club or if you're starting this group, from scratch, or you're building this group. In the case of God Tier, we're just going to play some games, right? Get there with your friends. You're all learning together. Naturally, things will start to gravitate. It's a little bit more relaxed. However, if you're a part of an established club, right? You go on Thursday night, you go on Sunday or Saturday afternoon, you're playing some games, you bring your army, you show up, you don't really know who you're going to play. You get an opponent, you play. That skill level is all over the map. So with that, the strategy becomes twofold. First is try to play the hardest players that you can. Try to go above your skill level. And again, going into this mentality, the first 20 games don't count. Play and get destroyed a bunch of games and watch what your opponent is doing. After the game, if possible, talk to them. Just be like, hey, I was trying to do this combo. Did you see it? How did you counter it? Did you even care? Or that move you did there, were you setting that up from turn one, or is that just something I walked into blindly and you took advantage of it? Get their experience. File it away because you are going to return triumphant and crush them on the tabletop. But look to get some of that very, very real feedback. The next piece in being part of a club or a group, aligning with someone, and this could be a friend that goes into the group with you, or this could be another player, meeting with them if possible, playing games with them, and it could be on a club night or it could be another time, and trying to play as many games as possible as quickly as possible. Let's say, in terms of God Tier or other games that you play 5 turns. 5 turns, the game is over, tally up the points, see who wins. Play it till 3 turns. Play it till 3 turns and then pause and say, if the game continues, most likely who would win, right? Meaning learn momentum, learn to be aggressive in a good way, learn to pull your tactica together so that you're dominating by turn 3, you're dominating turn 1. The idea of getting as many games as possible in. So in a normal game night, if I get, I can get 2 games of 40K in about 4 hours. Or Battletech, 4 to 5 hours, I can get 1 game in. Stepping back and say, we're going to play 3 turns. And then we're going to objectively look and say, most likely, the dice could swing, things could happen, but most likely, who would win this game at this moment right now? I can get 4 or 5 games in. You see, it's just like, just raw playing games. Just, that's a great learning curve to cut down. I used to do this when I was competitive tournament player in 40K. I use this X-Wing miniatures playing competitively where, yes, we play games and we have fun, but there are literally times when it's like school's in session, son, study time, ready to go. And I get together with my friends and on a Saturday, we're like, we're going to play 50 games. We're going to go to turn 3. We're going to play 50 games and we're just going to try and dominate and make those decisions. Focusing that type of mindset, that cuts down your learning curve absolutely tremendously. But switching back, if you're launching a group and everyone's kind of on the same page, then there's not as much urgency or there's not as much of a need to do this because honestly, you're all learning together. So it's worth it just to casually play out the games, have some fun, and see who wins. So that's my blueprint. That's what I've utilized. That's what I'm going to use here for God Tier. And again, we're going to jump in the next week or two. I need some time to digest, formulate, plot, plan, see, learn, and all these types of things. But if you're jumping into a new system, that is the template. Let's dominate and let's cut down that learning curve.